again. Check it, direct it, let's begin. Party on, party people, let me hear some noise. DC's in the house, jump, jump, rejoices. There's a party over here, a party over there. Wave your hands in the air, shake the dairy, yeah. These three words mean you're getting busy. Whoop, there it is, hit me. Whoop, there it is. 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 Upside down and inside out, I'm about to show all you folks what it's all about. Now it's time for it to get on the mic and make this motherfucking party hot. I'm taking it back to the old school.
Oh my God. My name's Eric McCoy, and this is High While Clean. When I taped the show originally, I wasn't feeling well, and I had a very nasally sounding voice. The introductions for my guests are going to include their accomplishments, and DC, the Brain Supreme, has more accomplishments than I could muster up, and he deserves the full introduction. Now, when I originally came across his name, I didn't know who he was nor his group, but I knew his song, and it brought me back many years. His name is Cecil Glenn, or known as DC, the Brain Supreme, and it was DC Glenn and Steve Gibson, known as Steve Rolln, who formed Tag Team in the early 90s. Now, one of the first genres of music I liked was hip-hop, but this was, of course, back when it was Run DMC, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, if you remember them. And then I fell into metal like Metallica, AC/DC, and even Slayer before fully switching gears into blues, jazz, rock and roll, and of course my favorite band, the Grateful Dead. Now, I recently talked about this idea of a hook in music on our radio show Hot Topics, which of course is aired on Johnny Rock and Roll Radio. That term, popularized by the Blues Travelers with the song with the same name, is when a group will use a short riff, a passage, or a phrase to make a song appealing and to catch the ear of the listener. And I think Tag Team did this well with their hit song, Whoop, There It Is. Whoop, there it is. Now, before I bring him on the show, we got a lot to go through. And this may explain why these two may never have to work again. Their song did what most songs rarely do. They've sold over 7 million copies to date. They followed up the smash single with a platinum-selling album of the same name. They've been number 1 on the Billboard Hot R&B Charts, number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 Charts. They spent 16 consecutive weeks at number 1 on the Billboard Sales Charts, continued to stay in the top 10 for another 24 weeks. They stayed in the top 10 of Billboard's charts for a total of 34 weeks, and this is more than any other single in the rock era. They've been nominated for an American Music Award of 1994, nominated for a Soul Train Music Award, nominated for a NAACP Image Award, nominated for a Billboard Music Award in 1994. They are in the Disney Hall of Fame, and they have been awarded Key to the City of Miami, Florida. Now, they are not necessarily our sponsors, but stay tuned for a message from our sponsors.
New swoops from Hershey's. Irresistible curves that are bending the rules on how to eat chocolate. It's swooping the nation.
Halloween, back again. Get your costume, let's begin. Lifeguard mommy, let me hear some noise. Corpse bride in the house, jump, jump, rejoice. Superhero over here, burrito over there. Kitty witch in the air, cowboy derriere. These 3 words when you're getting dressed up. Whoop, there it is. Trust me. Whoop, there it is. Whoop, there it is. Trust me. Whoop, there it is. Whoop, there it is.
Thousands of new and thrifty costumes, plus costume consultants to help at Savers.
Maria really loves the newest scent from Gain. Every time she sniffs, this happens. Still there. Still there. Now that's how you rock a long travel day New scent duets from Gain. It's the Gain that keeps on keeping on. Sniff, sniff, hooray.
Party people! Yeah! Whoop, there it is! Whoop, there it is! Whoop, there it is!
Get even lower prices. Hundreds of toys now on rollback.
Whoop! Shaka-laka, 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 shaka. Whoop! Shaka-laka, 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 shaka.
What happens in diapers should stay in diapers. Lux Ultra Leak Guards with heavy-duty blowout protection. Outstanding protection for your little heavy-duty champ.
Tasha, did you know Geico could save you hundreds on car insurance and a whole lot more? So what are you waiting for? Hip-hop group tag team to help you plan dessert?
Fresh vanilla, rocky road, chocolate peanut butter cookie dough. Scoop, there it is. Scoop, there it is. Scoop, there it is. Scoop, there it is. Scoop, shakalaka, 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 shaka. Scoop, shakalaka, shakalaka, shakalaka.
Geico. Switch today and see all the ways you could save.
But aside from those, also featured in an AT&T commercial and a commemorative commercial for Pepsi Crystal. They have featured in New Line Cinema's Christmas classic, Elf, Addams Family Values. They have been in the Disney's The Mighty Ducks, 20th Century Fox's Rio, featured in the Universal Pictures Pitch Perfect, Dimension Films, The Long Shots, featured in the motion picture Gordy Pig Power, Blankman, and The Long Shots. They're licensed for Comedy Central's The Regular Show, featured in TMZ's for the Memphis Grizzlies halftime performance. They've done various parody skits featured on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. ESPN coined Whoop There It Is, the song of the 90s. ABC Television licensed the song for promoting their fall lineup in 1993. Now take a look at this.
Ladies and gentlemen, this song was #1 in 1993. It's synonymous with your Chicago Bulls in the 90s. Here to perform it live, please welcome Tag Team!
Our next guest has probably created more fun and excitement with their latest single than any other recording this year. You probably hear it at every good party you go to. The song on the Bellmark label is entitled Whoop, There It Is. Ladies and gentlemen, give them some love. It's Tag Team.
Party people!
They are featured on VH1's True Spin TV series, featured on the VH1's Greatest One-Hit Wonders, featured in the MTV series Daria, featured on Beavis and Butthead. Yeah. Featured on CBC's Bea and Erica, performed on NBC's Meredith Vieira Show, featured performance on Showtime at the Apollo, performed or appeared on various late night talk shows such as Arsenio and the Conan O'Brien Show.
There it is. This is Tag Team. Party people. Yeah. It's full effect. What's up? Speed DC, the reign supreme. And my band Steve Rolln. We're kicking the flow. We're kicking the flow, and we're gonna do it something like this. Tag Team back again. Check it, let's begin. Party on, party people, let me hear some noise. DC's in the house. Let's party over here. A party.
They have been on all key talk shows in the 90s, including Geraldo, They have performed on the season premiere of America's Funniest Videos. ABC taped them to perform on the hit show High School Class Reunion. They've toured the world, performing to sold-out audiences everywhere, performed halftime shows for the Atlanta Hawks, Chicago Bulls, Philadelphia 76ers, Minnesota Timberwolves, Memphis Grizzlies, New Orleans Pelicans, Washington Wizards, Houston Rockets, Denver Nuggets, and the Los Angeles Clippers. They also performed halftime shows for the NFL, NBA, NHL, NCAA, WNBA, World Cup Soccer, and other various sporting events around the world. Regularly tours casinos around the world. They are regulars on the I Love the 90s tour, Freestyle Old School Jam, Freestyle Throwback Jam. They've toured on the Budweiser Superfest with SWV, MC Light, and Belle Biv DeVoe. They've been hired by the NFL to perform at the Super Bowl Experience, toured in the jungles of the Amazon for a month in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. They've toured Europe, Battle of the Bands video game, the Verizon Wireless Fios commercials, My Name is Earl, Super Fans movie, Lionsgate, Parks and Recreation, Old Navy, Reader's Digest, Fallen UK commercial, Fox Rio, Play Network, Platinum Rye Entertainment, BBDO Atlanta, Central Productions, South Park, Activision, DJ Hero. And the Walt Disney Company recruited tag team to perform on the Smash children's album, Mickey Unwrapped. They've appeared on maiden release of Volume 1 of MTV Jock Jams, and their video was a top 10 hit on all music networks, including MTV, VH1, BET, and The Box. They have been seen in the 5280 The Denver Magazine, TMZ.com, Washington Post, People, Atlanta Magazine, Gawker Blog, Hollywood Reporter, USA Today, Billboard. Now, I may decide to request him to come back on the show now that I'm actually feeling better. But let's get rolling with the interview that I had done. And DC Glenn, thank you for joining me. I know that list can go on probably. Now I want to play real quick the part where I introduce him and the response that he gives regarding my extremely poor introduction of him. And again, I was feeling absolutely horrible. But let's start with that. This list can obviously go on and on and on and on.
I never heard it read off quite that way.
What's that?
I've never heard it read off quite that way.
But yeah, you've even done obviously Super Bowls and all kinds of stuff, right?
People love the 90s, right? And I just think that was an era when music was at its purest. But that's me being biased because I grew up in that era. So, everybody loves everybody loves where they grew up. And, that song created a lot of memories for a lot of people. So
it did.
I am blessed to be able to, as you say, not work again, but that's not true. I got to work my ass.
Absolutely.
That was 30 years ago. Yeah. And we were in a bad record deal. Okay. So,
and this is why you really want to actually be feeling well when you do these, because when I was going over this, I realized that I never even asked any information about this poor record deal, which actually would have been great to hear.
But that's the story of life. Life is baked in a cake, and it depending on the cut of your jib and what type of man you are, either you look at the glass half empty or the glass half full. And I've just never quit. I've never given up, and I always just vow when traumatic things happen to me that they'll never happen again. And that's why I've been successful and still continue to tour on a song that we did 30 years ago. So I've made a career off of one damn song.
Yeah, because that was kind of like the one-hit wonder, right?
Mm-hmm. And, people like, do you hate that contest? It's like, no, I'll take it. Because it's not really, there's a reason that we were a one-hit wonder, right? Not because we couldn't make any more music, not because it's just the song was that big that no matter what you did, nobody's trying to really hear anything else you've done. Plus, like I said, we signed a bad record deal. We're in a 20-year legal battle over the song. So our career was pretty much stymied in the late 90s. So, we just, lucky for us, it wasn't as bad as everybody else's deals. So able to make a living off of what we made off of royalties. So that helps, but that kind of gets on your nerves too. But that's the part of life that you have to kind of put that to the back of your head, take responsibility for it, because we were young men and youth is wasted on the young, and just persevere and never let it happen again.
So I try to explain to him in my horribly nasally voice that I have friends who became really famous pretty quick at young ages. They had lots of money before they learned to manage finances and be responsible. And of course, this is a nightmare that some never come out of. And here's how you responded.
I mean, I could say that I fell into it, but I really didn't fall into it because, I mean, I grew up in that era. I grew up in the crack era. You know what I'm saying? And, we used to smoke weed. We used to smoke crack. We used to, I mean, when I got to college, I got to Sac State in 1984, and I was introduced to metal music. So it's funny you say metal, because one of my boys that I met when I was a freshman, Johnny Z, he was in the metal. He taught me about metal music. I taught him about hip hop, right? And he's been successful in hip hop because he produced a song called "Back to the Hotel" by In Too Deep back in the 90s. So it's like, for me, all that stuff was partying, right? Now there were times where the substance abuse might have kicked in, right? But I knew my parents would kill me. Plus, it was just about partying. You know what I'm saying? So, and I get how when traumatic things happen to people and they get into that depression area, that can feel like it would help you, but it doesn't. Right. That's when you got to take responsibility for your actions, take responsibility for what happened to you. And then you got to fight. Right. And I just knew that, pride kills a lot of people.
Yeah.
And ego just destroys souls. So I've been a DJ for like all my life. So I've got a front row seat to humanity, and I've watched all this.
Yeah.
But I watch people not trying to figure out what to do, but trying to figure out what not to do.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where I think my gift is. Because when you learn what not to do, that gap is, you shorten that gap and what to do. So I've just always lived my life like that. And I have persevered. I've been tenacious, and if you're going to be in a legal battle, you better learn how to become a paralegal. If somebody beats you out of your money, you sign a bad deal, well, you better learn negotiation. You better learn where you made your mistakes. If you didn't do your money right, well, you better run your life like a corporation and figure out finance. And I did all those things. I'm a licensed commodities broker, right? I've done all these things because you have to turn trauma into treasure. You just have to. And there's a way to do it. And it's all about trying to find solutions as opposed to dwelling on the problems and the excuses. So when, I thrive when people give me problems and solutions, because not problems and, excuses, because that's an opportunity to come up with solutions to put in my toolbox. Now I'm truly ambidextrous in life. And if, like I said, life is baked in a cake, things are going to happen. There's nothing you can do to control it. All I can control is what I do.
Yeah.
And I choose to educate myself. I choose to plant seeds. I choose to just grind and hustle till the end. And that's what I love about life, that you get choices.
Yeah.
Right. And you just have to put yourself in a position to embrace doing the work. And if you can embrace doing the work and not care about, if you can treat life not like a quid pro quo, right? If I do this, then this has to happen.
Right.
I don't do that. I'm like, I just hustle. and then things fall out the sky on me. And it has worked for me well my whole life.
Yeah.
And it is working this very second. So
yeah,
if that's anything, if that's what we're talking about, that's what I hope that people get from me, because I am a motivational speaker. So I've gotten to be a motivational speaker because me doing PR ends up me doing all these podcasts, and you start honing your message. I'm sure from the time you first started this podcast, your message became more clear. You've learned so much more by talking to so many different diverse people, and that sticks with you, and you become a better person because now you can truly talk to anybody you want to talk to, because we all want the same thing. You know what I mean? So, I'm glad to be on your podcast today. And, I love doing this because I learn more from talking.
So I spoke briefly at this point, and I feel I am my translator because it was hard to even understand what I was attempting to say. But I first acknowledged the powerful insight that he was presenting. Everybody who has listened to my shows, or a client who has sat through my lectures or basic rambling, that I present issues as either problems or opportunities for growth. Positive paranoia are two words I use when I do my lecture on happiness. The world isn't out to get me, but instead the world is out to give to me. I'm a teacher and I am a student. And as long as I remain a student, then I will always be able to learn new things. Yeah.
That's the beauty of that. I mean, think about it. And this is how, I try to talk to people and tell them to be this way. I love to listen, right? But part of listening is you have to be willing to be wrong. I love being wrong, because being wrong is the path to being right. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you see it that way, you understand. I try to tell people, if somebody says something negative to me, or somebody says you're this, you're that, or they get whatever they do that you would deem negative, a lot of people react. And the reaction is what keeps you stuck. Because either you're offended, either your feelings are hurt, all of the above, right? And I tell people, don't react. Don't argue with people, right? Because a lot of times people want to argue because they love to argue, because they love wallowing in their own misery.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, okay, you're right. And I just let them, but they want to argue. Like, well, okay, you're right.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just let them keep going, because they're going down a rabbit hole of untruth now.
Yeah.
And now that they're going down that rabbit hole of untruth, they truly believe everything that they're spewing.
Yeah.
And I can't do anything about that. Right. But I've let that go a long time ago. And because I can admit that I'm wrong and give it up, and not only that, the exercise is, what if what they're saying is true? What would you do about it? I know what they're saying is bullshit.
Yeah.
But what if what they were saying is true? Play the exercise, right? And you'll find that you've just created another tool, and there's another lesson in that to help you in life. Because there's some truth in negativity. You have to find the positive in the negative. If you're just looking at the negative as negative, that's not going to work. There's always positive in the negative. You just have to find it. And that's what I am masterful at. And don't get me wrong, it is easier said than done. Right? But, I could I'm not in my emotions either. I could take hate, envy, despair, loathing, disgust, all of those things that keep us down. I sound like Yoda. But you know what I mean? And I just don't react to them. I sequester my ego and I kill my pride. And now my mind is truly open to every possibility imaginable. And that's where the creativity comes in to help yourself and help others. So you have to kind of get out of your own way. And you kind of have to inside, you're dying inside though. It's eating you up inside. But the fact that you didn't react, something that would have made you react and you would have been pissed off, keeps you stuck. The fact that you didn't react put that in your pocket, it turns into positive energy because it dissipates, right? Because you didn't react. Of course, you're going to be pissed off inside. Of course, your feelings are hurt. Of course, all those things happen. But not reacting quells that and calms it down. And now you look back on it and you laugh because you realize how stupid it is for you to even react that way. So it's like a lot. It's almost, I'm not going to say it's mind tricks with yourself, but it's just a process. And trust me, I've had a lot of practice of that, because if I look up and Whoomp There It Is in a commercial and I didn't get paid for it, that's traumatic. Because Whoomp There It Is my child. It's like you took my child away from me. Yeah. And you have to get over that because you signed the contract. Take responsibility. So when you can let go and take responsibility for it, it's not about, I didn't get paid this. I got a forever hit record. How can I take advantage and go get my own money? Yeah. How can I make money off of this opportunity that has been given to me? Well, you didn't get paid. Yeah, but I got a commercial plan for 6 months. I can't turn that into some money for me. Yeah. Better figure it out. Yeah. Or be an old bitter rapper. Yeah. And that's what happens, either or. And I just vowed I would never be old bitter rapper, because you can educate yourself in finance. You can educate yourself. I mean, I have coaches for everything. I have coaches for video editing. I'll take a course. I'm in 30 different organizations, because when I want to find out how to do something, I go to organization, because people in organizations have been doing it 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and they are masterful what they do in their profession, and they can't wait to run their mouth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And give you the game.
Yeah, you go to where the knowledge is, right?
Go where the knowledge is. I'm going to a convention. I'm at a convention. I got a contractor bag full of lanyards because all I do is go to conventions. And now I am so knowledgeable about every little thing. What you realize is that all these things intertwine into this big ball of focus. And now you have all these tools, right? I don't have a toolbox. I've got a Home Depot. No, not Home Depot. I have an Ace Hardware of tools for life that help me get through life in the most positive way imaginable. Yep. And that's what has to happen, right? You have to educate yourself. So if there's something that they ask me, what do you tell kids? They always call me and ask me, what do you want to say to the high school kids or the graduating class? And I'm like, there are no excuses. There are no missed opportunities. Join the organization that you see that you want to. If there's something you want to do, join an organization. If you're good at cars, join an automotive organization. Might cost you $100, $200, or get that. If you want to give somebody a gift, give them a membership to an organization. Because if you know that they like if they like to sew, if they like to do this, if they want to open a laundromat, if they want anything, if you know they have talent doing it, get them a membership to an organization, and then now you can learn everything you need to learn in 2 weeks, because all you got to do is pick up the phone and start calling people, because they're there to help you. And they have all the resources. They can help you financially. They can tell you how to do all the things to get your business up and running. And now it's time to put in the work. Now we get to see what you're made of, because it's not just about the education and getting the knowledge. It's about putting it into practice and putting it into action. If you can't do that, then you got other issues, and then you find an organization that can help you with those issues. Or if you have an idea. So that's what I do. And all I can tell people is what I do, right? And what has worked for me. And I think that's what we all do when we get on these Zooms and have these conversations, because there's somebody listening that one little thing that I said to somebody might change their entire life.
Yep.
And that's why I do what I do.
So I then mentioned my book, Pain, Failure, and Misery Are the Stepping Stones to Success. And I talk a little bit about those of us that are in the substance abuse realm and in that world. We obviously have gone through lots of pain in life, and pain is obviously our greatest motivator. And failure is something that is important, because unless we put goals in place and we work to do the things that we're going to do, and then we need to ultimately fail. So those failures ultimately become lessons.
And this is another thing I tell people. Ain't nobody ever going to give you nothing. Don't nobody owe you nothing.
Yep.
Once you realize don't nobody care, now it's not, now that's what holds people back, I think. Because everybody, well, they're supposed to do this and they're done. Well, they don't teach us that. They was like, they ain't supposed to teach you that. I said, everybody got a choice. Everybody, especially now, man, 30 years ago, we didn't have no phone. We didn't have no cell phone. We had to go to the library.
Yep.
Then you had to go to the right library. Right. And we had to go. It was a treasure hunt.
You had to learn those codes.
Oh my gosh. But now, and when I talk to kids, I say, if you want to learn how to do something, all you gotta do is type in how to or how do I, and type in the rest. And so there's no excuses, right? But people love excuses, and because they think that's just it's the easy way out, but it's not. Keeps you stuck. And I just love solving problems. So it's like that when people give me excuses on things, I just love, like right now I'm going through this thing where I'm probably teaching about 5 writers how to market better, because I'm in the Grant Writers Association. I'm in the Grant Writers Association of America. I'm in the editorial freelance writers organization, not because I want to, I need writers, but I wanted to learn about grants. Like sometimes I join organizations to learn something about something else because it has kind of to do with that organization. But then I end up finding out so many other things, right? And like you said, you wrote a book, and I'm writing my first book, but I have studied SEO, search engine optimization, the ability to get on the first page of Google and be able to market in different ways. And I've studied this for the last 12 years. And now, that's why I'm still doing tours and doing shows and getting on television, because I have the ability to let people find me. People can find me. So if we want to get tag team for this, all you got to do is type in tag team DC. Anything that got to do with Whoomp There It Is, you're going to find me. And then that's an opportunity. So what I'm trying to teach these writers were like, oh my God, AI is going to take over. We're going to lose our jobs. We're going to do this. I was like, do you realize, I'm on this Zoom call, it's like 50 people. They're all writers. And they're freaking out because they think AI is going to take their jobs. And they're like, it's already slow enough. And it's like this and this. And I just listen to everybody talking. All of them had a common thread that they were successful, but they were successful because of word of mouth and hustle. And I said, first off, you guys don't even realize the gift that you have, the ability to write. I said, AI will never have a heart, right? It'll never be able to feel. It will never have a soul. It will never have the thing that, it's all data. So it's all parsing data, right? Now, I'll come up with some stuff that you hadn't thought about, but writing from the heart, you know how to write, grammar, all these things that make you special. I said, that's not, you guys, that's not going to do anything. I said, where you guys are leaving money on the table is all of your websites are not getting in front of the people who can pay you. And me saying that, as opposed to all your websites suck, changed the game for a lot of people, right? It's how you tell people things. It's like I'm like, you guys are leaving money on the table because you've got a book about marriage and you're not even in front of people who are typing into Google on the other side, how can I save my marriage? How can I make my husband happier? How can I do this? How can I do that? Because you got to understand that there are 1,000 ways to ask the same question, right? So for you have your book. Are you getting in front of the people who need you? Are you getting in front of the person who's like, I am depressed and I need help. I love cocaine and I can't stop. They're typing these things into Google because they want help. And if you can't be, if they type in, I need a counselor, or I need to talk to somebody, or like I said, they're going to type in 1,000 different ways as how it pertains to them. But me knowing SEO, I get to see all these terms that they're typing in and how many people are typing them in a month. Yeah. So if somebody types in, I need a counselor because I'm on the edge, and there's 7,000 people that's typing in that same thing, well, then let me optimize my site and do a blog post about it to where I'm in front of the people that I can lead to my book, that I can get them help. Because, see, we're used to the physical world, but there's a whole nother world and a whole nother frontier out there. There's gold in Dindar Hills, right? And I'm looking at it, and it's up to me to mine it. And most people don't even see it. So that's what I do. That's why my name is DC the Brain Supreme, because I just figure things out, man. My mind is different. I twist things. I look at every aspect of it, because there's always 10 ways to do something. Yeah. It's not just one way, right? So that's just one of the 100 little analogies that I could throw at you. And that's what me doing podcasts has done for me in the last 6 years, right? And, you know, I'm a voice artist. I'm an actor. I've really got my own ad agency now. I do my own PR. I do my own marketing. I do my own video editing. I'm dang near doing my own writing. Like, I suck at writing, but what I have to do is I have to talk into my phone and dictate, because I can tell a story as good as the best of them. Yeah. Dictate it. Now I got it on paper. Then I give it to an editor. Now I got an incredible, riveting piece of content that's going to help somebody in their life, because it's readable, and that's how I have to do it. I'm not concentrating on being the best writer I could be. I'm concentrating on helping people, right? How can I help them? And the best way, man, that's why kids sit around a campfire, because they want to hear a story. That's why kids go fall asleep, because they want to hear a bedtime story. Because if you do it well, you can put them to sleep in seconds, right? So a lot of stuff I just said, and I find this is why I love doing podcasts. I can honestly say, I just thought of that. Right? Just how to say it in a different way, right? Because, you know, it's almost like singing Whoomp There It Is 100,000 times. You kind of do it a little different every single time, because if you just did it the same way, it's no fun. But you still want, you know, that's probably a bad analogy, because people want to hear it the way they heard it, and how they love it. So one of the things with us, they say, man, you guys sound exactly like the record. And that's a source of pride for me, because that means I have mastery over my vocals, right? It's just all these little gifts that hard work and perseverance and overcoming adversity, those are the gifts, right? Yeah. The gifts are success, and not success monetarily, but success in mastery. Yeah. You haven't mastered it, but if you're on a quest for mastery, you're in the ballpark. Eventually you get there, or you get in the ballpark, and you can make money when you're there. So
I then describe how I do some of my things. I have 2 podcasts. I have High Wall Clean and Walk a Mile in My Shoes. I have our radio show that's on Johnny Rock and Roll Radio called Hot Topics. I've been on many other podcasts, and all of my guests either present our shows, while some even post our shows on their websites. I find it fun. And what you're actually seeing is not on the show, as editing has some amazing abilities. Now watch this as I roll right into the show. So I find doing podcasts a lot of fun, and it definitely gets our name out there.
And people ask me all the time, why are you doing podcasts? You ain't getting paid? I was like, well, podcast is like, I'm killing 6 birds with one stone.
Free advertising.
Right? I'm doing my PR, so people are seeing me. Yeah. But I'm also practicing articulation for voiceover. I'm practicing storytelling for when I write. I'm practicing all these things as I do it. And this is an SEO venture, because most podcasters are going to put it out on different platforms. They're going to put it out on Spotify. They're going to put it out on Apple. So now you put DC Glenn in one of those links. Now I get to go and SEO all that up. So when people type in DC Glenn, I've got 10 pages, probably way more than that, full of podcasts.
This show goes out on pretty much all the audio, YouTube, my site.
Exactly. You take those links and you power those links up because I know SEO.
Yep.
And then that's where everything comes together. So it's like I'm practicing so many different things as I do one podcast that people don't even understand why I'm even doing a podcast. It's amazing to me. But I don't hold anything against anybody. I just try to educate people and tell them the things that I know because I've been blessed, right? And I just give. They're like, man, people should be paying you for this. It's like, no, man, you got to give what you want first, right?
Well, you get paid for this.
Yeah, and
in the big picture, you get paid for it.
Yeah, man. And it don't cost nothing to be nice. It don't cost nothing to give, right? But you can lose everything by being an asshole. So, but you know what I mean? Like we all know that, but everybody is kind of, it ain't for everybody. It's just not. But hopefully, I can give people a couple of little practical nuggets to make their lives a little bit better.
I'll tell you, it's funny. I was at work and I told the clients that I was going to be meeting with you. Most of them knew exactly who you were, and most of them, a lot of them knew all the lyrics to the song.
And the Geico show was 2 years. The last couple of years, that Geico commercial just blew us up, right? With the ice cream and the sprinkles, right? That was special because that came in the pandemic and everybody needed some joy.
Yeah.
Everybody needed to remember what fun was, right? And it is so popular that we have to perform it at our shows. That's like the encore. And everywhere we go, people are like, I love that commercial. Especially the older people, especially people my age and older. They're like, I've loved you guys forever. And then when you did that Geico commercial, that's probably one of the best commercials of all time. And I'm just like, really? It's like, man, and I've got the videos to prove it. I've got grandpas doing it, dogs jumping up and down every time it comes on. It's their baby's first words. Like, that's what Whoomp There It Is was 30 years ago. But now I get to see it 30 years later, right? Because people TikTok, there's a million TikToks about that commercial. Yeah. Right. And I just feel blessed, and I take those opportunities and I try to turn them into 10, and it works.
Yeah.
Stay getting shows, we stay getting opportunities, and I'm off to LA this week to try to get more opportunities. So
you won't be too far from me.
Hey, there's one thing I tell people, it is never too late. There are no missed opportunities. You can always correct everything that you think you've done wrong in your life. But it's up to you. Put in the work.
And don't settle.
Yeah, don't settle. And that's the thing. People give up.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm a certain age, so I can't do these things anymore. It's like, I feel like a brand new baby.
Yeah.
I don't even.
You kind of just came back, right? Is that kind of there was a.
We've never been anywhere. But it's like, I'm not a rah-rah guy. I don't need. So here's an addiction for you. Don't you feel that young people need that attention? That's why everybody, like, the young people love social media because it's all about look at me, look at me, look at me. So they're willing to do ignorant, dumb stuff to be seen. And that's why they go viral, because they're willing to put themselves out there in a way that they're going to regret 30 years down the line because it's documented. Us being mature, we're not doing that. So social media is a struggle for us. So people like, you got to do what them young kids are doing. I'm like, no, I don't, because all I care about is Google. I have reversed it. I don't have to do social media, but I know how to use social media effectively, right? As a person who don't like to use it, because I'm not about to do all that, make a bunch of videos all the time and try to stay relevant. And hey, everybody, look at me. Even though that's their world, that's not my world. My world is If somebody asks, how do I become an entrepreneur? Then I'm going to make a TikTok. I'm going to make a video across all the platforms, and I'm going to optimize that TikTok video. And the title is going to be how to become an entrepreneur. And when I optimize all these and put them across all the platforms, they pop up on the page in Google that says, how do I become an entrepreneur? Because I know SEO and how to optimize. So now I'm getting in front of the people who can pay me. I'm getting in front of the people who need my help. And Google fuels the social media. So now my social media is not in a timeline where you're just scrolling through. My social media is on a website where you found a video to the question that you asked. And now you have the answer. Yeah. And now you're going to follow me no matter what, because you know that's what I do. See, there's a different way to do everything. Yeah. And people just think there's only one way. And that's why I love when, people try to tell me that I can't do something. People tell me it don't work that way. People tell me, you can't, because I'm a firm believer that you cannot, it's just a waste of time hating on young people for being young. You can't hate on young people for being young, right? But and the reason is, to even be in that mind state means that you think you're less than when you have the greatest gift that they'll never have, which is experience. Yeah. And you can take your experience and put it with what they know and come up with something so different that now is custom to you, and nobody can do it but you. Because there's 9 ways to skin a cat. Is that the analogy? You see what I'm saying? So that's what you have to do. You have to let go of all these things that hold you back, all these things that you believe, all the things that you've grown up with, because things change, and you got to have an open mind for everything. And that's where the creativity comes. And then you test it. If it don't work, so what? You know what I mean? Like I said, no quid pro quo. All I do is plant seeds. Like, you don't plant a seed, sit down Indian style and say, okay, seed, I need you to grow. Wait a minute, the seed ain't growing. Come on, seed, grow. Man, this seed don't work. I quit. How many people we know like that?
Oh, yeah.
A real estate course say, I'm gonna be rich, or did this and say, and then like it didn't happen, they quit. I plant that seed and keep it moving, because you don't know how long it's gonna take that seed to grow. But
water it.
The preparation of planting the seed, you wouldn't even have planted the seed if you weren't prepared for it, right? And what I understand with seeds, there's always going to be a harvest. Some years it's going to be great. Some years it's not going to be so great, but there's always going to be something to eat because you planted the seeds. Yeah. It's just simple, practical thinking.
And that was another thing that I really liked about you when I read, was your idea of thinking outside the box. I filmed this later.
I've never been in a box. Right? It's just, but you know what? Here's my analogy. I thrive in the bizarro world, right? Because think about the last 3 years, and you know what that analogy, you know what that means, right? And the last 3 years has kind of been the bizarro world, right? Everything is upside down. Out the bizarro world or the upside down. I just thought of that. If you could survive in the upside down, right? You're ambidextrous. It doesn't matter what happens to, in your environment, because you know how to handle it. Yep. And that's the key, right? And I'm very, very good at that. And that's what I concentrate on, because life is going to throw you things that you don't see coming. My whole concept is not to get blindsided, because you're going to get blindsided. But if you prepare not to get blindsided, you can see things coming. Yeah. Right. And now you're prepared and you can kind of slip move.
Right? Sometimes you got to bend.
Yeah. And then sometimes, because people ask me all the time, DC, how do you do it? How do you go into new ventures? Aren't you scared? Aren't you fearful? I'm like, yeah, I'm scared. I'm just as scared as the next person. I'm just as fearful as the next person. But you could do two things at once. You could be scared and keep it moving. Because there's no way around it. There's no way under it. There's no way over it. The only way to it is through it. Yeah. So the only way to tackle your fear is just to fight it and go through it. And then you get on the other side and you can laugh at it. It's almost like it didn't even happen. Yeah. That's the beauty of it. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, I want it to be hard because I know nobody else is going to do it. Like SEO, digital marketing, right? It's like a 15-layer cake. Even the masters, the dudes that are the best, they do 10 layers. I chose to study all 15 and understand all 15 because now I can make 1,000 different cakes. You see what I'm saying? My cake game is incredible because I know I've mastered every level of cake making, right? And that is where, you know, the Padawan becomes the master, right? I've been a Padawan for a long time, but now, you know, my masters are coming back and saying, hey, how do I do this? Because I know you're doing that. So like, you need to talk to DC. He knows how to do that. I don't mess with that. Because everybody has a certain type of fear, and there are things that are difficult to them, and I have them too. But I still know that, and have a method of dealing with things, and have been successful in overcoming those things, and learning them. That there's nothing I'm not willing to learn because I know you got to figure out a way to learn. I've coined this phrase, learn how to learn. It's not enough to learn. You got to learn how to learn, right? Yeah. And people don't do that. Like for me, I hate to read, but you need to read, right? Yeah. And if I get a long email, by the time I get past the first 2 sentences, I don't know if it's dyslexia or whatever it is. I'm not going to blame nothing on it. I just know it don't work for me. I guess I have to read it again because I'm daydreaming. But if I throw the long email in the AI and let it read to me, now I'm doing something else, but I'm still getting the pieces. And if something interests me, then I can go back and read along with it as it's speaking to me. Yeah. Learn how to learn. So now I'm more effective because I could do books like that. I do books like that. I do papers, journals, things that I need to read. Because my mind is always racing, so it's hard for me to focus on what I'm reading. But if it's reading it to me, like we're having a conversation back and forth, oh, yeah, I got it all. And I've got to record it. I can go back to the game tape, right? I can go back over that 40 times. There are courses that I've taken 40 times. Learn how to learn. I get a course, it might be 20 different pieces of that course. I make it all one course. I take all the videos, string them all together. Now it's just one video. And then I play it at 5 times the speed. So I'm Alvin and Chipmunking it. So if it's a video course that might take 2 hours, it's going to take a half hour because I sped it up. Because you're never going to know everything on one pass of something that's 2 hours. Right. But if you speed it up to where you still can legibly hear what they're talking about, you pick up pieces. Yeah. And if you do it over and over and over and over again, you start picking up all the pieces. And then all things now are starting to make sense. And now you know it. Learn how to learn. Yep. I've got 100 tactics I use that way. Yeah. I can't do it the traditional way anymore because we're not in a traditional time. Right? Life has evolved. Life will pass you by. I learned that when we had to switch from vinyl to CDs. And I'm a DJ. I'm like, I ain't gonna never DJ with no damn CDs. Y'all got me messed up. And then I seen other DJs surpassing me. And I learned my lesson, right? You better stay up on everything. Just because it's new don't mean it's wrong. Yeah. Gotta combine them. You got fundamentals. The old school is fundamental. Traditional means you have the fundamentals of life. But life will pass you by because the new school are the new fundamentals to be old school later. There's always going to be something new. You can't stop it. So you better embrace it and be ahead of it. And I've watched that, and that's when it comes into pride. That's when it comes into people stuck in their own ways. That's when it comes back to addiction, right? Yeah. And I've watched pride kill a lot of people that I love. Yeah. Yep. And my mission is just to tell people, my mission, I can't help everybody. I can't tell everybody, but I can be the example.
Yep.
And tell my story. And that's what I do.
Yeah. So I told him that when I was writing my book, that each of the chapters in my book begins with a poem. And it was the poem that actually gave me enough spark to actually be able to write the entire chapter, because I used to hate writing. And I really do believe that the poem actually played a lot into my abilities to give me that motivation to be able to write the chapter.
On my book, I know all, the stories that I tell. So I just wrote down, first thing I did was write down all these stories that I talk about all the time, all these analogies. And now I got to make decisions. What do I do? What do I deal with? What do I talk about? Where do the lessons come from? And for me, a lot of the lessons come from a 20-year legal battle, because that's my life.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're in a 20-year legal battle, that is mentally draining. So how do you even deal with that? And that's going to be things that come from, maybe you had a divorce, or maybe you have this problem, or these little practical things. You gotta attack it. And me trying to, me just learning the vocabulary of lawyers. That's paralegal stuff.
Yeah.
And now I know what emotion is, and now I know what this is, and now I know what they're doing, and now I know how these two record companies are battling each other, and they got us in the middle as the pawns. Now I know what they're trying to do to each other. Now I can monitor it. I can go back and do case law. I got it. I know the site now, because the site to go get old cases that pertain to my case. So I get to read those, and I get to get information from them on how to battle plan for me and not really spend no money. But then it came a time where we had to lawyer up, and I gave these lawyers a big box of discovery. And they figured out six different ways for us to prevail. If I don't do that, I might be an old bitter rapper. But I'm never going to look at it like that, because I'm the one that signed that paper. Take the responsibility and do whatever you can do to correct that situation.
Yeah.
Correct that situation with hustle and education.
Love it, man.
Hey, man, they don't want it with me. I promise you. I'm not going to quit. I promise. Ever. As long as you breathing, there's nothing on this planet you can't not achieve.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'll tell you, it was funny when I had Tommy Chong on the show, right? He said something that was so awesome. He's had cancer twice, right? He had colon cancer and prostate cancer. And the last one was the colon cancer. And he made a statement on the show. He goes, I had to get a colostomy bag. And he goes, you know what? It was just another experience I get to deal with.
Yep.
And I remember him saying that. I was like, man, that's profound.
Because life is baked in a cake.
Yeah.
You can't stop life. It just, things are going to happen coincidentally, or however they happen, they're going to happen. Another thing you just got to deal with, right? But what you want to do is you want to alleviate the things that don't mean anything off of your plate.
Yeah.
And you want to keep it clean. And that's that's education and hustle does that.
Yeah.
I mean, that story right there should educate people that they need to take colonoscopies regular. My doctor's like, you're going to take a colonoscopy every 3 years. Yeah. I probably like 4 colonoscopies since I did my first one. I was like 40, 45.
Yeah.
Probably like 40. So, and she's telling, because she's a doctor and she sees people come in and their colons is blown up because they never had a colonoscopy and they don't monitor. So that's one of those things, learn how to learn. I learned how to learn by having good insurance, having 2 insurances, so I can go and learn from doctors on what is going on with my body, learn how to read my own blood work, learn how to do all these. I've had 2 back surgeries successfully because I did the work. He's like, get your BMI down to this. I lost 100 pounds. Boom. Let's go. Whatever needs to be done gets done. Right. Yeah. But we all are human. We all have flaws.
Yeah.
You just want to mitigate those flaws as best you can over time. And that's life.
Yeah. Yeah.
People don't get it. It's like, there's no either or. You just do. Just go. And if you fall off the wagon, get back up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, hey, man.
I want to ask you, the one question I ask everybody on this is that If you were to give a message to people out there suffering with substance abuse, what would you tell them?
Get help. But I mean, it's more than that. Join an organization, right? There. It don't even have to be a substance abuse organization. You can join anywhere, any place that you could talk to somebody who's kind of been through what you've been through, right? Because I know you've been through it, but if I told you some stories about me and me partying, you would be like, he's been through it too.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between us? You know, what, how did he deal with it and how did he deal with it? Yep. So when you can hash those things out with other people, you come up with, like, I'll give you the perfect analogy. I'm an actor and I started acting in 2017 and I went to class every day because that's what I do. When I want to learn how to do something, I will go every day. I will find the best teachers. I will do whatever it takes. I will befriend the teachers. I will help them set up the chairs, help them set up their cameras, do everything I can do to get their knowledge, right? Because I want to be an actor. But then I kept, anything that you do, you're going to suck at the beginning. It's just the way it is. And every teacher's telling me the same thing. You got to do this, 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 you got to do this. But on the 14th time, Natalia Livingston, I'm doing a scene. And I'm talking loud because I'm a radio DJ. I'm rapping in front of stadiums, okay? I'm bombastic. She said, DC, why are you talking so loud? You're overacting. It looks like you're overacting when you do that. You got to control your voice. I was like, but I am. She's like, DC, when you're in a movie and you're on a television, you're going to have a microphone on, so you don't need to talk loud. I said, oh.
Yeah.
And that changed everything for me. Because now I can whisper. Now I can talk like this. If you look at actors on television, they're talking like this, but it's still riveting because they're talking low. They're not yelling. They're talking just like this, where we can have a conversation like you would regularly in life.
Yep.
Changed everything. And that wouldn't have happened if I didn't seek out and do the work. So,
case number 9735, the state of Georgia versus Alexis Colby. The defendant has been charged with the crime of murder in the first degree. How do you plead?
Not guilty, Your Honor, by reason of sanity.
Thank you, Mrs. Colby, for that clarification.
Don't mess up my hair, Gibby. I got a big day today, man.
Hush, your afro gonna thank me. That is Willis. What you gonna do now you don't got out?
Try not to go back.
So you was singing too, huh? What you saying? I don't heard something before?
Sit on my lap. Sip pride.
Put it in that jukebox. It ain't shit. Now this one here, this the one you need to put out on the record. Man, what's going on? Got some friends that need a favor from me.
All right, what friends?
Them.
If it's the them I think you're talking about, why would they send you?
Oh. Do what they ask. Prove yourself. This could be good for you.
When did you get out?
2 weeks ago. Inmates for good behavior got on parole because of this virus thing.
What do you want, Melvin?
What'd I tell you about calling me Melvin? I'm your dad.
Being blood does not make you a father.
All I'm trying to do is holler at you. Shit.
I gotta go. Anyways, I have a date. What?
Prison got me thinking about a lot of things. Oh, me and your moms were so young.
Young? Were you young 3 years ago when you decided to barge into my mother's apartment drunk?
No.
You know, I don't have time for this. I don't ever want you to call me again.
So find people to talk to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say get help, because get help sounds like you need help and your pride is going to get in the way of that. Find people to talk to that have been through what you've been through. And then they'll guide you. And then if you want to find an organization, just type in whatever it is you think that's your affliction. Yep. And then put trade organization after it. And you'll come back with the whole list of everybody, and then pick up the phone and start calling people and say, why should I give you my $300 a year to be in your organization? And they're going to come with, the greatest hits of we do this and we do this and we do this, that, and this and this. But what they don't realize is while they're pitching you, they're teaching and helping you because you're getting the knowledge and you might get the one thing that helps you overcome your addiction. There's all kind of ways to do it, man.
Yeah.
You have to want it. You have to want it and you have to be willing to do the work. And sometimes, that right there is the difference. If you really want it, it's there for you. So I want to thank you for letting me come on here and run my mouth.
Yeah. I want to thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Because like I say, I learn more. And that's why I can do any podcast. I've done podcasts on marriage. I've done podcasts on everything.
Yeah.
Because all these threads align.
Yeah.
Because life, man.
Yeah.
It's the things that we all go through.
Yep.
Everybody just goes through them differently.
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show and let them know how they can get a hold of you.
All you got to do is, so here's the thing. Just type in DC Glenn, type in tag team, type in Whoomp There It Is, and you'll find me in everything that I'm doing. That's SEO. That's the ability to be found. And I have done that masterfully. So if you type in right now, you're going to find so much more stuff about me.
Yeah.
I mean, think of, that's what it's about. Right. And there is no one thing. You might be looking for me for something else or for this or for that. So you have to be able to, if you type in one thing, it leads you to everything.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm about. So,
yeah. Well, hey, that was very cool. And I really appreciate, again, you coming on the show. That was very insightful. And if all of you that are listening can subscribe to our channels, I'd really appreciate it. Keep checking us out. And my name again is Eric McCoy, and this is High Wall Clean. And as I always like to say, let's keep getting high, but let's do it clean. We'll see you soon.